Let's get rid of the useless people in this family, you're first. My brother said it like a joke, knocking his glass over as he stood. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth. My parents laughed, loud, comfortable. All you're good for is your money, my mother added, waving her hand like she was swatting a fly. Dinner continued as if nothing had happened. My name is Calla Whitmore, I'm the eldest daughter. The quiet solution, the reliable one in our family, love was never free. It was billed monthly, and I was always the one paying. We were sitting at the long dining table in my parents' house. The same house I helped renovate after my father's temporary financial setback. I covered the contractor deposits, I paid for the new flooring. I even handled the landscaping because Lucas had investment opportunities that required his full attention. Every chair at that table was occupied except the one where gratitude should have been. Lucas had always been the golden child, loud, reckless, adored for his confidence and forgiven for his failures. I was his opposite, responsible, invisible. Don't act shocked, my father said, chuckling, you know he's right. I did know. I also knew how many transfers I had approved without hesitation, rent, legal fees. Emergency loans that were never repaid. They called it family support, I called it conditioning. Lucas leaned across the table, eyes bright with something that looked like victory. You'd be nothing without us. Something inside me finally went quiet. No anger, no hurt, just clarity. I set my fork down carefully. Okay, I said. My mother frowned. Okay, what? I stood, slipped on my coat, and walked toward the door. My phone vibrated in my pocket. An alert I had scheduled months ago, back when I still believed loyalty required sacrifice. I glanced at the screen and smiled. Actually, I said without turning around. You're right, let's see who's useless. The room fell silent behind me, they just didn't know why yet. By the time I reached my car, my hands were steady. That steadiness scared me more than anger ever had. I hadn't always been calm. Years ago, I fought for approval like everyone else. Straight A's, scholarships, a career that paid well enough to help out. Helping out became a reflex. When Lucas failed, I fixed it. When my parents panicked, I wired money. Silence was my currency, reliability was my personality. Lucas used to joke that I was the family's emergency fund. My mother laughed every time. My father called it practical. No one noticed how small my life became around their needs. Vacations canceled, relationships postponed. My savings account shrinking every time Lucas had a new idea that required capital. Driving home that night, the memories didn't hurt. They lined up neatly like receipts. Patterns are easier to see once you stop hoping they will change. At a red light, my phone buzzed again. Not a reminder this time. Confirmation. Everything I had quietly arranged was now active. I wasn't leaving the family, I was removing myself as their safety net. The pressure started the next morning. Lucas left 3 voicemails before 9. Each one louder than the last. What did you do? My mother texted, stop being dramatic, call us. I didn't. By noon, Lucas showed up at my office. He paced the lobby like he owned it. What did you do? He demanded when I stepped outside. I stopped. I said, stop what? Fixing things you break? His jaw tightened. You can't just pull support, Dad's counting on you. Counting on me like an account balance. Like a guarantee. You'll regret this, he said. We're family, I almost laughed. That evening my father called, no greeting, just an order. Transfer the money back, now no, I said. The silence that followed felt fragile. You think you're teaching us a lesson? I hung up before he finished. 2 days later, the humiliation came with an audience. My mother hosted a family luncheon. One of those staged events meant to reinforce loyalty. I was invited last. By text, I went anyway. Halfway through dessert, my father stood and raised his glass. We need to address something. He said Calla has decided to abandon this family. Murmurs spread around the table. She cut us off, Lucas said loudly. No warning, no explanation, after everything we did for her. Laughter followed, light, performative, my mother sighed. We raised her better than this. I felt the shift, the rewriting. I was being edited into the villain. I reached into my bag and placed my phone on the table. If we're sharing stories, I said calmly, let's share the whole one. I tapped the screen. Transaction histories filled the display, dates, amounts, years of quiet rescues. Mortgage payments, legal retainers, business bailouts, the laughter died. Lucas stared at the numbers. My father's hand trembled slightly around his glass. You didn't raise me, I said softly. You built me. And for the first time, I saw it in their eyes, fear. I left before they recovered enough to argue. That night, I called my attorney. then my banker, then a CPA who owed me a favor. We untangled everything. Co-signed accounts were separated, automatic transfers were canceled. Guarantees I had quietly signed years ago were withdrawn. No dramatic speeches, no explosions, just subtraction. By noon the next day, Lucas's credit card declined at a cafe. By 3, my father's temporary loan triggered a review. My phone lit up like it was on fire. "It's not working," Lucas said, his voice shaking. "Fix it, I can't," I replied. "It's not mine anymore. You did this on purpose, yes." That evening my parents showed up at my apartment. My mother cried, my father raged. "You're destroying this family," he said. I opened the door wider. "No," I said, "I'm leaving it." Lucas stood behind them, pale and silent. For the first time, he looked like someone who understood what dependency feels like from the inside. When they left, the hallway was quiet. For the first time in years, my money stayed where it belonged. The collapse didn't happen all at once. It unraveled slowly. Lucas called less often. When he did, the anger was gone. He asked questions instead of making demands. My parents stopped hosting gatherings they could no longer afford. Eventually, the house went on the market. No announcement, just a listing I stumbled across online. My father asked to meet. We sat across from each other in a small cafe he used to love. "You could have warned us," he said. "I did," I replied. For years, he stared into his coffee. "We didn't think you'd ever stop." There it was, not regret, expectation. Lucas arrived late. He chose a seat across from me, not beside my father. "I didn't know how much you did," he said quietly. That was the most painful part. I stood, paid only for my drink, and left them there, not angry. Not victorious, finished. The twist wasn't that they failed without me. It was that I thrived. Months later, I ran into my mother at a bookstore. I was laughing with a friend, choosing a novel for a trip I had finally booked. "You seem fine," she said carefully. "I am." She waited for more, an offer, an apology. A return to old roles I gave her known. What they lost wasn't money, it was certainty. The comfort of knowing someone else would absorb the consequences of their choices. That night, I deleted the last shared document from my drive. A relic of a life built on obligation. I wasn't useless, I was expensive. And they had been spending me without permission. I turned off my phone, poured a glass of wine, and watched the city lights flicker on. Each one standing on its own. For the first time in my life,